FST101, painting repeats. Okay, so some of the things to think about when you are painting your repeats. We talked about using acrylics thick and thin. That definitely applies to what we are working on today. You can use it like a watercolor. You can use it very thick. That is up to you. Definitely the idea of the liner, so keep a piece of paper handy so you can always cover the areas you're not working on. Try to work into areas that are not right beside each other. So if you're going to work on this one, then if you're going to work here, don't immediately paint that one. Move over to like this one, you know, like move a square over and let it dry. Otherwise, the colors will bleed into each other. If you want a nice sharp edge, use your brush more like a pencil. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add some water, not too much water. Okay. And I'm going to go in here and with my liner covering the parts I'm not working on, I'm going to go and very delicately take this right to that edge, right? Even though I'm working on a big area, I'm still going to use this small thin brush first, and I'm going to it's nice having the liner because you can rest your hand on the page, which keeps your hand steady and will remove any kind of a shake. We all have like some tremors, so having something solid to lean up against will definitely help you with that. Move it out of the way as your drawing, your painting progresses, right? So I'm resting my hand on my fingers here, again, to give it stability, right? And this is on top of the liner. And that can give you a nice, perfect, clean edge. When I was in design school, we used to be basically, pretty competitive about who could paint the cleanest, flattest repeat patterns and with the most perfect edges. I had a friend, Inez Kim, who was one of my buddies from school, and she was like the best painter, and I could never paint as well as her. It drove me crazy because her work was always immaculate, and mine was, even if I wanted it to be really, really clean and super tidy, it was always kind of loose. I like it now, but at the time it would bother me. Okay, so once you've got the edges, then go in with the thicker. And then you can paint in the whole area. You're going to be doing these repeat patterns in your watercolor block, and you're going to do one pattern per half page. Okay, so I would recommend cut the page in half before you start doing your painting, okay? Because otherwise you're going to, like if you've got the other part is here, you're going to have all this trouble trying to paint to the edge. I would just cut it right off first and then draw your patterns on it, okay? right? And then you can let that dry. And while this is drying, move over, work on this one down here. There we go. Right, so rather than trying to work into these, I will work into this one. Same idea. Hand on the surface to give stability, and then basically you can use it like a pencil to draw in those edges. You can draw in whole areas, like paint in, let it dry, and then paint on top. You know, do layers. You could totally do that. Again, so I'm using my hand to position that brush so I have much better control to get that nice, clean edge. Although if Inez was here, she would come in and it would be like even better. She would make it perfect. Once you've got that nice, clean edge put in, go for your bigger brush. Mix up a larger amount of paint. And then you can quite quickly put in the inner part of your shape. Okay, so you can paint thick or thin. You can use washes. So I'll grab another one. Let's start off a bit. I'll do something a little more watery for this one. Go. And for this one, I'm not going to be as picky about my edges. I'm just going to use, I will use a liner, but I'm going to use the edge of the brush to put in my lines. I'm going to let this one just be a little more clear and expressive. How you want to handle this is up to you design-wise. I like things that are really neat and controlled. I like things that are really loose and really gestural. So it's really up to you how you want to design these shapes. You just have to own it. You know, like if it's going to be loose, it better be really expressive and fun. And it has to make sense, right? So you can treat it more like a watercolor. That kind of idea, mixing color into color. That's entirely your, you can do that as well. That's up to you. You could also go in after, once everything's dried, and use a black fine liner to put in some structure points as well. Okay, so I'm going to want you to be painting all of your repeat patterns that are in the PowerPoint, and that is the homework for next week. Okay, so you're going to be doing one of all of those repeats that are listed in the PowerPoint. Okay, and so now you should be developing ideas. You can be laying them out while we are going to be doing our lecture today.